Hello, Onion Suicide here, and I'm going to be making a video that pertains to what Pine Power I was talking about right before the pandemic started. Anyways, what he's really upset about is that gas guzzler vehicles are around, and that people on the South Shore, those people there, are using them. Now that the gas prices go up, they complain about these high gas prices when they need to pay more if they use gas guzzlers, like those types of SUVs that guzzle gas. And they always want to pay for the Plus or the premium brand gas. It's just horrible. Pine Power Ally, that is good. That's a good argument. And right now I'm going to argue about like what happened throughout the 60s and 70s and how it's still used today and it shouldn't be. And that is like using the car as your main form of transportation. It's bad for the environment. It takes away the usefulness of train and bus service because then there's not enough people riding it like before the 1960s. There's also the rant about like dismantling the tracks on the old Putnam line on Metro North and then the higher Harlem line, the north of Wassaic, between Wassaic and Chatham. They really shouldn't have gotten rid of those tracks. They could have been useful for some expansion of rail. I don't care if there were new parks built. Those tracks could have provided transportation for the future, because now trains are getting more and more popular than the 1970s and 1960s. What we need is a better transportation network to get more people riding buses and trains. Nice bus just has to go. It needs to be... MTA bus needs to come back to Long Island. They should also come to Suffolk County and Westchester County, because Suffolk combines the problems of Westchester and Nassau, with Westchester's being the infrequent buses and Nassau's being the unreliable buses. It's like the worst of both worlds in Suffolk County. With this bus redesign, they're eliminating the routes on the North Shore, going by like Wading River, those routes, east of Port Jefferson on the very north of Suffolk. And this brings me to the Queens bus redesign, which is terrible, but it doesn't compare nearly as much with the infrequent service in Westchester and Suffolk, along with like the distance between lines in Westchester and Suffolk. I mean, even with this Queens bus redesign, they still have it lucky, but I don't understand their complaints because it's a more used bus system. The subway is really hard to get to, even in Queens. But don't forget that Metro North's Harlem, Hudson, and New Haven lines are very spread apart, unlike the Long Island Railroad branches. Anyway, we need better public transportation. Like, when you travel to, like, Germany or Italy or Portugal, you see a lot more public transportation. That's a good thing. Maybe it's even private transportation, too. That's where my company, the TTT, comes into play. I might be buying using some Orion 7 OG and NG buses from the MTA, but not from NICE. And then give portions of the profit to the MTA. Same thing with like the Beeline Orion 5s. They'd be a good fit for the TTT. But I don't know if that's how it's going to work. I'm working on a building plan for with my uncle soon. I'll be discussing it this weekend, hopefully. This will help with the transportation issue. And how there's just too many cars on the road. It causes traffic jams, makes the buses slow. I'd also come with bus lanes and also suburban rail, which functions as a bus system in size and frequency and distance between lines. Suburban, by definition, it's sub and then urban. It's a compound word. Not suburban meaning the suburbs. That's what it's called. We really need better public transportation here in America. New York actually has it lucky. There are other places in the West that have it worse. So, and then stop driving gas guzzlers, or if you want to save money on gas, stop driving gas guzzlers, get an electric, and also stop using the premium fuel that is like a status symbol for the Pretty Little Babylon branch in the South Shore. Last thing to bring up is the schedules on the Long Island Railroad. Now, the Pretty Little Babylon branch, their trains were pretty empty before the pandemic, and now they're gonna get more filled up in comparison to the Ronkonkoma and Huntington trains. And they're already whining about it, those people on the Babylon branch. The Pretty Little Babylon branch. So, now they got what's coming from, like, the main line. And I still think that extra semi-express that should stop at Lynbrook is kind of excessive for the off-peak. But the peak hours, they have plenty of stations there. Most of the trains are making a lot of stops. And the Long Beach and Far Rockaway branches need more off-peak service. So the diesel branches. I think the Oyster Bay, since it's double track, should be receiving a lot more service. It's double track for almost the entire bit of it. And thankfully, the Ronkonkoma branch is now getting half-hourly service in the future. And the skip-stop trains on the Huntington branch are now local. Some of which I think might be making stops at Hollis, Queens Village, Elmont, UBS, and Floral Park, according to that schedule. I don't know exactly, but that adds a couple extra stops. Some people might be upset with that, but the Hempstead branch needs more service too. And anyway, that concludes it for now. Bye.